off, so would you, whoops, yeah, Beck, if you'd like to let me know what you're making first.
Yeah, so my fakeaways of choice, so I'm making our family favourite pizza, and we're going to be using a pizza oven to cook it. And we also are doing different types of burgers. So tonight I'm going to do a beef burger, but I have a few different recipes to share with that and a bunch of different condiments that you can use to make your burgers awesome.
Now, that's exciting because here in the we don't have many takeaway at all, and nothing of value, or you might be paying like nearly $25 for a burger. So when you're wanting those kind of, you know, almost comforting, I'll call them comforting foods, not greasy foods, but comforting foods, quick and easy. Yep, I can't wait to find out.
We also found that when the whole family had the spicy flu, that Uber Eats is incredibly expensive. So it's not really an option for a lot of people. So if you are in the position where you can't leave the house or you just don't want to, it's really good to have an option.
Definitely. And as you're going to show a lot, Beck, is highlighting the fact of time, and what you're thinking you're gaining, you're actually losing, and it's far quicker to make these at home and save a penny as well.
Yeah, by the time that you get onto the app and start to order and then wait for it to be delivered, you could have pretty much made it yourself, especially if you have some of the stuff already stored in the freezer or you have some of the condiments already made in the fridge.
I was talking to someone recently, ladies, and they were saying, I'm trying to remember who it was, and they were telling me that, you know, it might be convenient and you feel like it every now and then and you've got no time, and you might succumb to some takeaway, and then, you know, you just don't feel so good after all, and afterwards, and you remember why you don't really want to have it. So thanks, ladies, for showing us some of your tips tonight.
No worries. I haven't mentioned what I'll be making. Anyone who follows my TMX Sustainable Facebook page, I often do a family favourite, which we call the no butter chicken, and it literally has no meat in it. It is a vegan meal. It's nice and filling, very quick, not so fiddly, easy to do, and it's probably the kids' favourite, even above a standard butter chicken. So I'm going to be sharing that. And we're very into Asian cuisines and we love noodles. And so there's a recipe, and I can't even quite pronounce it, but I will show it to you. It is a cookie dough recipe, so you can go ahead and make this yourself at a later day if you've got cookie dough. But if you look at the way that it is actually made, it is literally kai tao. If any of you have had kai tao, that's probably our favourite noodle dish, but it's actually called a different name, probably more a traditional, or depending on the region that it actually comes from. I haven't had time. I was hoping to have time to find out what the name meant, but it says beef noodles, literally. So that's what we're making today. Is there anyone else that needs letting in? Oh, there we go.
This one. Awesome. Sorry, do you want to get started?
Yeah, let's get started. Can we just do a little quick intro, because we haven't there's a lot of new faces on here that might not be familiar to either myself or yourself, Beck. So, Beck, do you want to just give a little bit of a brief description of what you do and what your niche is within your mix?
Yeah, so I'm Beck. I live just outside of Gawler and outside of the Barossa. And my main thing, so my day job, I'm a clinical nutritionist. So my thing with the Thermomix is helping families enjoy meals together and trying to add as much nutrition to meals as possible while still keeping meals fun. So I'm, not one of your, sorry?
I think you're an awesome nutritionist, because you make it complicated and not so overwhelming, and you don't want to everything. You focus on what they could get in a fun way.
Yeah, so my entire philosophy is fun. Most people make fun of me because I'm an overgrown child who likes to play Lego with my kids. But it basically, yeah, it's keeping family meals simple and fun and enjoyable for everyone. And I really like the meals. Like the reason we like to make pizzas is everyone gets to get in and have a go, and you know everyone gets to make it. So it's not so much on a mum or a dad on cooking all the meal. It's sharing the load with the entire family. And burgers are very similar as well, because with the cookie dough, kids can drive the Thermomix really, really easily. And all you have to do is really supervise. And it takes quite a lot of the load off. So while it might take a little bit longer to make your own food sometimes, it is actually really, really simple and probably doesn't take as long as you think it would. That's my thing.
I love that. So I'm Deb, for anyone who hasn't come across me in some form or another. I have like I said, a Facebook group called TMX Sustainable Solutions. I'm really love food and nutrition and health and well-being. And so my biggest drive is Mother Hubbard style approach, using what you've already got and recreating and adapting in your Thermomix, and you know, doing so with the sustainability in mind. So we're talking about seasonal produce, we're looking at zero waste and how we can maximize what we've got. And we've got the lovely Jess, and I want Jess to have a little chat. We adore Jess. Jess is our team leader all the way in Mount Barker.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. But this is your show. I'm just the chat box lady, and I've got my mouth full of omelette. So I better not talk.
Jess is awesome. She always volunteers to come help us on our Zooms.
I love your classes, and I love having you guys on my team. I love learning things from both of you, and together we are an awesome team. So thanks, ladies. Thanks, Deb, for joining Thermomix again and bringing Beck with you.
Awesome.
So, Beck, do you want to get started? You're starting off.
Yeah. So I'm just going to start by making the pizza dough just to show. So this is one of the things that we do at demo. So you've probably seen pizza dough before. So I'm going to show you very different standing side onto it. How quick and easy it is to make a really nice dough. I don't add any sugar. But at the end, what we're going to do is send you some information and some recipes that we've collated. So it's not just this recipe. There's actually quite a few different recipes on cookie dough for pizza dough. So there's a pan dough as well. So you can use for that pan style pizza with a much thicker dough at the bottom. And I'll show you a little bit later, rolling it out to make different types of pizzas. I love that you can do whatever you like with the pizza. So you can roll it out really thin, or you could leave it a little bit thicker. You can also use different types of flours. So you can use things like rye flour or spelt flour. I've also found a gluten-free recipe for you. So if you can't have the normal flour dough, there is a really nice gluten-free option as well. And so we're just going to add in the flour. So the first thing we've done is just heat up the water and the yeast just to kind of activate the yeast. If you want to add sugar, sugar adds to that process as well, but I find that it doesn't really need it. So its type of flour kind of matters as well, depending on how absorbent to water, aquaphobic it is. So I find that my dough, even though it says 400, I usually put in a little bit extra to cover it. And then also the awesome thing, obviously I'm into family health. So it's really important to me that my pizza dough doesn't have any additives or preservatives in it, and that it's made with a really nice quality olive oil rather than a seed oil. There's like a bunch of reasons for that, and I won't get into it, but I really love that you can make sure that it's made with a really good quality olive oil. And that's pretty much it. We just add a bit of salt. And then the awesome thing about the machine is it'll knead it for you for 2 minutes, and that's the equivalent of a lot longer of like getting in and putting your hands in it and getting really dirty. I never made dough before I had the Thermomix, so I always used to buy the pre-prepared sort of little pizza bases for the kids, and these are so much tastier, and we know exactly what's in them. So I really like it. It makes a beautiful dough. It's like nothing else. So that's just going to need. So if anyone hasn't seen it before, it goes forwards and then it goes backwards again, and it pushes the dough kind of around like an eating option. Yes, it gives us a choice of ingredients. Can you actually hear me talking?
We can actually, yeah. You can keep talking back. Yeah, I think so.
I'm just talking in between and making the thing. So what else did we do? So what I would normally do after this, once this comes out, it goes in the bowl, it needs to be set aside for at least 15 minutes. When it's cold like it is at the moment, I generally leave it for about an hour, but you really don't have to. As long as it rises a little bit, you want it to double, but it doesn't really have to. We've done it really quick, done the dough, left it for 15 minutes and then moved on, and we've still got really good pizza. So what we normally do, sorry?
Ever like flavored the dough? So for instance, you know me, I like to use whatever I've got left in the bowl for another recipe. So say if I had just finished making a pesto, rather than making a bowl, I would just go in straight away and make that pizza dough to give it that additional flavour. Or if you're doing a blend particular, or if you want to make a dessert dough, if you've like milled some sugar and cinnamon or something for a donut or earlier, before you clean the bowl, just go and do your dough.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can even add vegetables to the mix. You can puree some vegetables and mix it through your dough. So a nice beetroot. I'm pretty sure the kids would love having purple pizza or green pizza bases. You can do pretty much whatever. And I love that the internet is full of ideas. So there's always people making exciting pastas or pizzas. You can get these ideas off Instagram and TikTok and just randomly off the internet. And you can use this base recipe to do whatever you want. And it's super simple. So we make 3 lots of that mixture. So this is pretty much how it works out. I love it. It's not a sticky dough. It's actually really easy to pull out. And different shapes. Yes, as much as I try and make round, beautiful pizzas, you'll see later it will wind up like a wonky shape, unless I want it to be a wonky shape, and then it'll be perfect. But yeah, so that all comes out. So you don't even have to really flick it up the blades. It tends to come out in one nice little bunch. So you just shape it. We usually...
Okay, you show that bowl again. That is pretty impressive, Beck. Like
it's only got a little bit around the blades, and I found that if you go on to just start to make your pizza sauce, you usually don't have to clean the bowl. That little bit of dough is not really gonna mess with anyone unless you're feeding someone who's a celiac afterwards, in which case I'd probably give the bowl a good scrub. But if you're just making for your family, you can have gluten, you can just move on to the next step and keep going without really having to give it a clean. It pretty much gets it all out. So it's just beautiful dough. It's like the store-bought dough, I must admit my mum still buys the store-bought dough. And it's nothing like this. This is awesome. So if we pop that in a bowl, I usually put some olive oil in the bowl, pop that in, pop a towel over it. My family, we make 3 times this. So what we'll do is we'll go back in, don't clean the bowl, pretty much just go back into recently cooked and just go through the recipe again. We do it 3 times, and what happens, the last lot of dough we don't normally need, so we roll it out and turn it into pizza scrolls, or we turn it into Vegemite scrolls for the lunchbox, so that we don't have any wastage, and the kids have lunchbox meals. So I'll put that aside and Deb can do one of her things, and then we'll move on to start making burgers.
Okay, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start off with my no butter chicken. However, I want to start marinating my meat for my Asian noodles, my beef noodles. And the reason I want to do that is it will just give it that tenderization, so the meat is really quite soft when it's actually cooking. and tenderized. So it's called Nuru Mian. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's called beef noodles. And like I said, I've looked at how you make it, and it's literally identical to kai tao. If you happen to know what kai tao is, it's my and my family's most favourite noodle dish. So I'm just going to go ahead and press start cooking. Now, I've already weighed out the meat in preparation, so I'll be able to skip that. And I've also measured out, so it's just going to save me a bowl when I use it for the butter chicken. But I've got plenty of bowls here, so it doesn't really matter. Now, it's actually asking me to add 1 teaspoon of dark soy. Now, I don't use dark soy because you can't actually find a dark soy that doesn't have ease or caramels in it, or preservatives in it. You can substitute for oyster sauce or hoisin. If you've got a bit of teriyaki sauce, throw that in as an alternative. Or, you know, you could even do a bit of Worcestershire sauce or something, or coconut aminos. So say if you're using tamari or light soy with this recipe, it also asks for a dark soy as well, and you can use these alternatives instead. So what I'm actually using is oyster sauce, which is something that is traditionally found in kai tao anyway. Now we're going to add some sugar to this. So just getting sugar. And we're putting about a teaspoon. Now you could use whatever preferred sweetener that you have. I am a lover of coconut sugar, so always generally use that, if not maple syrup. And we're going to just like leave that to sit after we've added some sesame oil and corn flour. So I'm adding my corn flour, and the reason you want to add the corn flour, it will thicken up the sauce and it will give it a bit of texture too. Now, if anyone's like me, I don't normally measure, so you're going to see part measured and part like me just doing what I do. And if you haven't got sesame oil, you can't use sesame oil. You can use olive oil. It just needs some kind of oil to coat. Right. So that's nice and easy, and that's only 15 minutes, so it's not like an overnight thing. So this is really handy when you're wanting to do quick noodles. So I'm going to put that to the side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get out of the recipe, and this is what we love, is even when we get out of the recipe, when we go back, we can resume with cookie dough where we're up to. Now, when I'm done this, the next recipe, because it is a recipe that I've created, I've actually put on here one of my created recipes. So I don't know how many of you have already ventured with the new version of Cookie Dough 3.0 to start creating and putting your family favorites or adapting recipes you've found in like modified, whether, you know, you make it a different way for family, whether it's for allergies or for volume, etc. So if you've already attempted that, let us know in the comments. If it's something that you're really wanting a class on, just solely on learning more about the creative cooking, just let us know that too. So I'm going into my week, and so these are the two dishes, and this is my not butter chicken. Now, unfortunately, you can't see my screen too well. I do apologise, so I'm going to have to interpret, but it will basically say where it's been imported from. And the beauty of this is a lot of us who've had Thermomixes for a long time, or maybe you're new, you might not have yet you might be new that you haven't discovered the recipe community, but those that are been on their Thermomix journey for quite some time, we used to rely on the community for rating or recommending some really good recipes. This is a great way now that you can actually just transfer those straight onto your Thermomix. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put in a little bit of onion, a little bit of ginger, and 2 cloves of garlic. And if you're wanting to weigh it, if you hadn't already weighed it, you just press the scale button down the bottom. And now we go into the function or the mode, and it will automatically tell us that we're going to do it for 5 seconds on speed 7. Now, it might not take the full 7 seconds. Always listen to the noise or the sound that your Thermomix makes, and you can sometimes see, depending on how you've actually cut it, whether you need to do it longer. So I've scraped down the bowl, and now I'm going to add, let me have a look, some of the stems of the coriander that I'm going to use to garnish. And then I'm going to put about 18 curry leaves in here and some mustard seeds, about a tablespoon through. And this is where, if you're dairy, if you can be able to cope with dairy, you can use butter at this stage to make it butter chicken. However, I prefer to use olive oil. So I'm just going to put on my scales now to measure out the oil. And we're wanting a 50. I'm just going to be over, but that's okay. And what else I wanted to put in there, and I thought I've got here, my spices. So I've got a little bit of cinnamon, a bit of salt, some turmeric, some 3 crushed cardamom pods, and a star anise.
Hey Deb, I've got a question for you about the cardamom pods. So do you ever bother cutting off the hard bit at the end, like the little tiny stick that's at the end of the cardamom pod, or you just crush them?
And I do like you do the old way to crush the garlic, you know, you do that and it just opens it up. Yeah. And the reason I want to do that is I still want to keep it whole, because a lot of people do not like the taste of, you know, and it's easier to get it out if you.
And you can just pick them out.
Yeah, if you've seen them in your dish, kind of thing. You can buy cardamom seeds or ground cardamom. I don't know, there's something about using a whole cardamom. I don't know, it's just, I love it, especially if you're going to do some toasting and, you know, to help the aromatics.
So if people just wanted to chuck the cardamom in the whole pod without crushing it, that would be fine too. The flavour would kind of permeate out of the pod.
The whole point is you're trying to access those seeds, and you've got to remember that the pod is a protection for the seed. So you're not going to really be able to get into that seed or get the benefits or the aromatics and the taste of the seed unless you can get into the seed.
Yeah, thank you. I always was wondering what the best way was with those cardamom pods.
I'm going to put that on varoma because I really want to kind of almost like roast the or high temperature the spices with the onion, and that's going on for 4 minutes for that time. So whilst that is doing that, I'm just going to explain to you a little bit of the prep that I've done in advance, and this will help if other people know what they're going to do for their fake away the night. I've already cooked up in my thermoserver my rice noodles, and I've actually stuck them in the fridge until I'm ready to utilize them. And then what you want to do is you want to, just before you serve them, boil water and run it over before you incorporate it into the dish. So I've actually done that in advance there, ready for the noodles. A lot of this is like things that are real staples in our house. Like I have mentioned on other classes, if you come along, is I'm one of these cooks or these meal planners that I don't actually shop to what I'm cooking. I buy the same pantry staples and what's seasonal produce, and then I just work around that and what I've got actually left and I just adapt from there. So I kind of keep in track with what I'm getting. I'm not actually putting extra things that I may not use more than once into my pantry. And I really love using cookie dough since we've had cookie dough, because especially when you take off the filters, I know when you first start out with your Thermomix, you want to actually and just filter all the English recipes. I think, especially at this time where we are, our fruit and veg have gone through the roof. Like, if anyone's seen a post that I recently posted here in South Australia, Tony and Mark did a little ad about what vegetables to avoid because of not to avoid, but their high price, and what's actually in season that's still quite affordable, because remember, lettuce and broccoli and zucchini are through the roof, where we've got things like radicchio, carrots, etc. And pears are a cheaper alternative. So when you're starting to utilise cookie dough with the different nationalities or the different cuisines, what you'll find is these countries really know how to utilise an ingredient a little bit more than I think us Westerners do. So you can get a really good overview of other ways to utilise, so you're not making the same recipe with one ingredient over and over again. And it's allowing you to kind of, the other day, especially with radicchio, I saw when I did a filter on radicchio with no filters, there was like radicchio lasagna that I want to try. There was ragu with radicchio. There was arancini balls with radicchio. There was even a salad, a warm, like winterish salad with radicchio. So when you put on the filters of all the English, there was only 2 recipes to choose from. So if you're a person who's wanting to start being more mindful and conscious of what you're actually using, and using more what's available, what is local, because that is the key. It is all about going to your local grocer, and what is locally grown is where you're going to make your savings. Jess, do you want to add anything to that?
I loved that. Thank you. Very good tips. And I've just written into the chat box that we could use Google Translate to understand those other country recipes. But I love those tips, and I do the same thing. And it's we barely notice the difference in price when we're already buying from farmers markets and local grocers, and it's all seasonal. So I'm an advocate for that as well. It's good for our bodies to eat different things at different times of the year, and I'm sure Beck could tell us more about that. We could do a topic on that alone. So I think we're all on the same page, us 3 ladies, and I'm sure some of our guests are too. But yeah, definitely buying from farmers, buying produce boxes, seeing what's in there, and then using cookie dough to look up things is going to be a great idea for all different reasons.
Okay, so this is where I feel like my butter is really quick and easy, because literally now I'm just going to add the rest of the ingredients in all together and just put it on for 25 minutes and walk away. But not so walk away right now. Now, all I'm using is a passata. This isn't normally the passata I like to use, but I am being conscious of how much, they're going up in price. And because in the Barossa, I guess we are penalised for being regional. It goes up almost $1.50 more than everywhere else. So I managed to get this one. It's still organic, on sale. So you're wanting 700 of this, so literally the whole amount. This is just under, but that's okay. Don't mind. I work with what I've got. And then all I've done, and this is literally 2 mushrooms, 2 carrots, and 1 capsicum. So this is one thing I've always loved about my Thermomix, is I love to make it feel like it's Mary Poppins duffel bag. And I think, gee, I'm not using many ingredients, but what comes out of it is like so amazing. So I'm going to whack that all in there. And so long as we're staying within, I have put a measurement on there. Bear in mind, it's how you actually, the size you cut it. And also you've got to stay within your 2 litre maximum. So I've just put a can of strained of chickpeas, or if you've already pre-cooked your chickpeas yourself. And then I'm going to add some coconut yogurt. And I've talked about this. Don't judge me that I buy it. I just can't. I'm very fussy when it comes to my coconut cream. And at the moment, the prices of coconut cream is not justifiable for me to make it. Let me have a look. I'm still waiting to find out if anyone's made Quirky Cookings coconut cream and what had they thought. So if anyone's done that on this, let us know. So we're
many years ago, I have, Deb. I'll have to try it again.
No, I'm wondering the more updated one from the recent cookbook.
No.
I think she developed it a little bit more.
Mm.
Now, even though this is going over, it's going to melt, like it's not actually going to stay congealed like this. Okay, so I'm going to just put a bit under because I've got extra vegetables. And then I'm going to put only 170 or 100 of coconut cream, depending on the volume you've actually got in your bowl. I'll just get another box. Right. And it's that easy. Exit. And it's just going on 100 for 25 minutes on reverse on speed 1. So, Beck, we'll take it over to you.
Okay. Make sure I'm off mute. I'm just going to try and share my screen to show you what I've made for you. Does that work?
It sure does, and I got online too. But we'll do yours. That's great.
I changed it slightly, sorry. I made new versions. So basically on Cookie Doo, these are almost all Cookie Doo recipes. So if you're not using Cookie Doo yet, we can probably help you out with some equivalent recipes. I just find Cookie Doo is really easy. So I've put in a few different ones. So we're going to be making the beef burger after I make some, I think it's called, what is it? Big Mac. It's like a copy. Big Mac style sauce. So we're going to make a copy of that to get that real fakeaway experience. Why drive to McDonald's when you don't have to? Very surprisingly, McDonald's in Gawler is incredibly popular. So even if you want it, you have to wait a really long time to get it. So it's actually faster to do this at home. So I'm going to start by making mayonnaise. But on the list, I've got the recipe for mayo for the Big Mac sauce. I also made some chutney the other day. I've been wanting to do this for ages. So I made myself the hot kind of caramelized chutney. And Jess pointed out we have a lovely recipe called caramelized red onion chutney as well on Cookie Doo. This one's from Recipe Community. It's kind of a copy of the Beerenberg tomato chutney. It stores in the fridge for quite a while. So you can have that with breakfasts and burgers. I've included some recipe for the buns. So I made my own, I think it's, we'll go all the way down. There you go, cut off the bottom. So I've included recipes for gluten-free buns and also brioche buns, and then the normal white bread recipe converts over to buns. So you've got lots of different options for lots of burgers, including some vegetarian options up the top and a vegan option, which comes with some really cool beetroot rolls. So they're really cool to try. I'm going to start by doing the mayonnaise. So I'll stop sharing that. As I said, we'll send that. And I also have a really cool Korean chicken burger that my partner makes. And I hacked the recipe and made it Thermomix friendly. So we'll send you the recipe for that one as well. That one's a little bit of an effort, but it's definitely worth it. So for the mayonnaise, I've pre-weighed. Basically, the first thing you do for the mayo is weigh your oil into a jug because during the process to make mayonnaise, you have to emulsify the oil. So you pretty much just tip it into the Thermomix while it's running, and it'll slowly combine with the ingredients in the bowl. So I use olive oil. So if you're going to use something like an olive oil, you need to find one that you enjoy the flavour of, and one that's as light as possible. So this one's a light mayo. This may still be too olive oily for some people. You can also use avocado oil, which makes an awesome mayonnaise. And then you can use grapeseed oil as well. Clean up her room. My daughter is upset because my older daughter won't let her clean up her bedroom. So I've pre-weighed it in because it's got a little spout. I thought it would take a lot longer than it did. So pretty much pre-weigh, and then pop that to the side, and then you pop in the rest of your ingredients. You don't need the butterfly attachment, it does it without it. So you just pop in 1 egg, a teaspoon of lemon juice or a teaspoon of vinegar, and then you've got, I don't put the mustard in this one. Normally if I'm making mayo I add mustard, but there's mustard in the Big Mac sauce, so I'm leaving it out. And then 2 pinches of black pepper, and next option is salt. So I put them both together. Then go to it. Go clean up your own. All right, so what you do is you pop on a lid with this lid attached. So anyone who hasn't seen this before, this lid will stop everything going in one go. It'll help it like slowly trickle in. So turn this on, and over the 1.5 minutes, you just really slowly pour it onto the lid.
Who's made mayonnaise before? I know Deb makes a vegan friendly mayonnaise, and you, like Beck said, you can choose your oils, and why not get a really nutritious, good quality one, so that you know, a lot better than store-bought ones. And I love you can also do free range home laid eggs as well. So that's what I love about Thermomix, is that choice in ingredients, and whatever your choice is the best choice.
I always forget, if you want to make something, if you can get that nutritious value in it. So olive oil has a lot of nutritious benefits that the other seed oils don't have. So it is a good choice. A lot of people have tried it in their mayo, but they usually just choose the standard olive oil, and it's not that nice. So you've really got to, I guess, taste the oil first, and decide whether you like the flavour of it before you try it. That agree?
I just, sorry, just had to go away. So did you mention about using extra light olive oil?
Yeah. So I always take too long to do it. So you just keep going.
And you can't rush that stage. If you don't pour it like light enough and consistently, you start getting a bit heavy-handed. You can basically split it.
Yeah, I've found I rather do it in 2 lots. 1.5 minutes seems like a really long time, but it's not. I've had it split before, and you can basically put it all back in the jug and then tip it in again. And usually, I've never had it fail twice, but I have had it done. I have seen it do it once where it just didn't do it.
I'm curious if it's failed recently in the TM6 spec, because no, I've never had
the 5.
That's right. I've never had it fail recently. I think it failed once back in the TM31 days. And like you said, you can then just use that sort of failed oily mixture as your next oil that you slowly tip in. And that there's a lip at the top of our lid. And, you know, sometimes I just pour the oil, I fill the whole lid up with oil, and it makes its way down slow enough for me. And yeah, so recently I haven't had fails. They've kind of made it fail proof almost.
So this is very yellow. We found, because we generally use our own fresh eggs plus the olive oil, things tend to be very, very yellow. So this is pretty much straight up. So that's your mayo. So it's nice and thick.
Thick.
Yeah.
to say the tip that Jess just gave is really good, especially if you've got weak wrists and you can't for long. It can go away if you're one of these, people who are a bit impatient. When you do put it on the lid, you can then walk away and it can stream in itself. But a tip that I actually like to use is I don't like using extra dishes more than I need to do. So literally I kind of have worked out a ratio of how much oil that I want, and I put my hand on the bottle and I keep pouring and just gauge by where my finger is on the bottle to how much I do, so I don't have to pour it out into a dish to pour it out.
Yeah, it's great. Well, what we're going to do with this one is I've kind of thought ahead of time to make the Big Mac sauce, you need the mayo pre-prepared. So what you do at this point is you can get the mayo out and put it back in your jug. I usually just put it back in the oily jug, so you don't make any more dishes. So you get it back out and you can chop up it's eschalot. I just use a little bit of brown onion. If I've got red onion, I'd usually use red onion. I very rarely buy shallots because they're kind of annoying. So you throw in your pickled gherkins and your little bit of onion and chop it up. You can do it with the mayo in there, but I was figuring for a sauce like this, you might wind up with it a little bit more chunky than you might like. So I just did it before I started the recipe. So you can do that before you start the mayo and then probably just leave it in because it's really just vinegar that's with it. It's not going to ruin the mayo. So I'm just going to add them back in. So I'm not going to do that step because that's picking it up. So we're not going to do that. Then we'd add the mayo in, but we've already got it in there. And then we have a little mixture. It's got a tiny little bit of sugar in it. You can omit that if you don't want it. It's got a quarter of a teaspoon of mustard powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a little bit of salt. And you can add it in. And the good thing is if you are on a salt-reduced diet, you don't have to add salt in. That had a little bit of pepper in it. If you don't like pepper, you don't have to add it in. You can change it to the way that you want it. I've also noticed one of my favorite recipe developers, Skinny Mixes, adds a little bit of paprika in it as well, which I'll probably mix in later because I didn't think of it until now. And that gives it that kind of like slightly tomato-y flavour that you get in the Big Mac sauce. So we just give that a mix. And go next. So pretty much just get that out of the bowl. And the awesome thing about it is because it's very similar to what I'm going to put in my burger buns. I'm not even going to, burger buns, burger patties. I'm not even going to wash the bowl. I'm just going to keep going and keep going straight on. So do you have anything to talk about for a second, Deb? Deb's run away.
Talking about I'll just explain the way that I use my vegan make my vegan mayonnaise is I use aquafaba, and for those that don't know what aquafaba is, it's basically the liquid left from a can of chickpeas. So I was excited that I made my not butter chicken tonight using chickpeas, and straight away I put in a jar to go into the fridge the leftover aquafaba for that. Now I have made it with the liquid from kidney beans and white beans as well. I don't have any problems, and even though the liquid looks red with the kidney beans, when you start emulsifying, it kind of loses that redness, so you don't even know. I've got iron ancestry in me, and literally mayonnaise goes on everything, including I can't do or eat a pizza without mayonnaise in it. It is like a must. So I was really excited when I went to Northern Ireland. Everywhere you go, they always have like little tubes of mayonnaise on the table. So yeah, my mayonnaise.
That's awesome. And homemade mayonnaise is so different to store-bought. I remember the first time I made mayo, I was almost eating it out of the jar because it's so good, and it's And even when I came to your house and you showed me the vegan mayonnaise when you first started making it was so good. It's actually surprising. Like if you're not vegan and you don't eat vegan foods, it's actually, you can't really tell the difference.
You can't tell the difference. And in fact, I love it more because one, it's more cost effective if you're has your own eggs. And secondly, with school lunches, especially in the summer, or if you're taking kids out to picnics, knowing, or people who are pregnant, like I've once done a demonstration with mayonnaise and then a lady had to tell us all she was pregnant, and that was the early stages before they adapted to the more friendly version at demonstrations. So I guess, you know, if you're making mayonnaise and you're making it in a dish, you've got a way of knowing you're not going to, you're going to support those who have allergies. And like one of my daughters has got an egg allergy. And I know there's a lot of others out there. So it's a great way of feeling like you've done something to help those that have allergies. Hey, I can have this.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm going to go straight on to the beef burgers. So as I said, you don't even have to wash the bowl because you're putting egg in there and you're putting pretty much the same stuff in there for the beef patty. So I'm just going to keep going straight forward. It might not chop quite as finely as we like, but it's got oil in it anyway, so it won't make a difference. So I'm probably going to put a little bit less in there. Just because it's already got oil in the bowl. Okay, don't worry about the lid. All right, so we're going to give this a chop. The only downside is my lid's all oily from the olive oil from before, but it's not the end of the world. The cupboard's getting a good oil.
Can I just interrupt?
Sure.
I just hang on, where's my cashews? Luckily, in this recipe that I do, I don't mill or make a meal out of my cashews. I actually leave them as cashew pieces, and I've actually roasted them in the oven. Normally, the recipe, I kind of throw it in when actually the spices and that, but because they've been in the oven, unfortunately, they haven't burnt in the process, I'm going to be able to throw them in once the timer goes off. But generally, you put these in after you've roasted them in with the cooking stage and leave a little bit aside for the garnish.
Nice. So at this point, we're just sauteing our onions. So what you can do if you like the brown onions is you can start this recipe off with one of the high heat temperatures for the onions. So you can get a nice brown and nice sear instead of the saute, if that's what you like. It doesn't really bother me, so we just kind of follow the recipe. But say, what sort of burgers do people normally make? Or when you go out for dinner and you get a burger, do people normally go for like a beef burger or a chicken burger or any sort of other fancy concoction anyone's come up with? The vegetarian from Jess.
I like the halloumi. I have been lucky enough to make halloumi a few times in my thermi and love making them into burgers, halloumi burgers with the chutney and tomato and lettuce. Let's see. Any other burgers are your favorites, ladies and gentlemen? Has anyone done the pulled pork burgers? Like, I don't eat pork, but it sounds so popular and I'm so tempted to try and make it for the meat eaters in my family. But
I'll show you the burgers. Sorry, I'm showing you now the buns. So we were talking about these before. I made these last night for the chicken burgers, the Korean chicken burgers we did. Instead of buying the brioche buns, I thought we'd give them a go ourselves. And the recipe makes 10, and I didn't realise that they don't rise very much. So they're like these little burgers. So Deb's suggested before you can make little sliders instead of the big burgers, which are more popular, having a few different variations of a burger on a plate rather than just having one big one.
You know, that's a lighter idea, especially for a family Friday night, because if you have all different condiments out, sometimes you go, oh, I feel like this, but I feel like that. At least when you've got the little mini ones, you can make 2 different types of burgers.
Yeah. And we find we like to do the big Mexican spreads, our Mexican fakeaway nights. And we always have pulled pork or pulled chicken left over. So we usually put a container of that in the fridge. So you could then heat that up to make some burgers with that instead of making something from scratch. It's a nice, quick, easy meal.
And then a quick coleslaw would go with that, wouldn't it, on the burger?
Yeah, there was the coleslaw recipe. I can actually show you. I still got some. Didn't get eaten today. Oh, that's the sauce.
So that PDF you've made, Beck, that's going to be clickable. Our guests can click on the titles and it will take them to the recipes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's all hyperlinked. So that's the Korean coleslaw. So that's a red cabbage with Kewpie mayo. And it's got spring onion and...
is that cookie dough or is that your Jamie's recipe?
That's Jamie's recipe. It's also got kimchi. But all the components of it, so Kewpie mayo and the kimchi, are both available on cookie dough. So you don't have to buy those from the shop. You can make them yourself. So I link the recipes. And there's also a sauce. So I'll send you everyone the recipe. So that's a Korean hot sauce. It's very spicy. So I did this in the thicken mode of the TM6.
Awesome. Thanks.
But literally, Jamie stands over the pot on the stove and he sits there, and while he's trying to do everything else, he's trying to keep this sauce alive. And I've come along and thrown it all in the Thermomix and then pushed the button and then turned it on, and it's done it for me. So apparently I'm not his favourite friend right now.
But then you can do even more while the Thermie's doing that.
Absolutely. And the same with the coleslaw. The coleslaw was a manual chop. So I just I put it on the recipe for the coleslaw on cookie dough, and then just threw in my own ingredients instead of the coleslaw, and then just mixed with the same settings. So for this recipe, it does ask you to put in some beef chuck steak and mince it yourself. And the guided recipe will help you do that in 2 stages. I've instead gone and got a kilo of mince because it's a little bit more cost effective. And my family likes it, so you pretty much can use what you've got. We quite often will buy like a Costco do a really good quality mince, surprisingly. Usually don't pull the thing out with it. So we usually buy like a big tray of mince and then divide it up for different meals. We find that far more cost effective than buying like little amounts of meat, if that helps. So we don't need to, I don't know why that did that. Go next, not turn on. I killed it.
I probably wants to turbo. You need the lid on.
Oh,
it's gonna want a turbo.
I don't want a turbo. You should
pop the lid on. Pop the lid on anyway. That's the only way you'll get past.
I was gonna say, it usually just lets you go past. It's obviously very particular, this one. Yeah, it does. Okay, there you go. Next. Okay. You give it what it wants for a minute and then it's happy. Okay.
Don't worry, we've all been tricked by that one. You can't really get past it without the lid.
My first time. All right, so at this point you put everything back in the bowl because you put it in, taken it out, put it in, taken it out because it's a kilo. So now we carry on like nothing happened. So it's going to ask for 40 grams of breadcrumbs. It's literally the only thing I didn't weigh out. So you can use your own homemade bread to make breadcrumbs, and then we usually just keep them in the freezer. These ones are store-bought because we haven't made bread in quite a while. But for a while we kept it in the freezer. That was really handy and free because it was literally just the offcuts of the bread we didn't eat. And we have 2 egg yolks and some mustard. I like Deb, don't measure, just chuck it in. Salt. Again, you can leave it out if you don't want it. And there was pepper in there as well. And the onion mixture is still in the bottom, so we don't have to do that. So this is where it's quite a lot of meat, so it's saying we can put the spatula in to help it out if we want to. So we'll put that on there and leave the lid on for a second, so we don't spray breadcrumbs everywhere. Got a mix. Push it down. Oops, where's the bar? Okay. Pretty much when it opens, I can tell mine's not mixed very well. So what I'll do is I'll go back and mix it. But it's actually funny because I've left the mayonnaise in there. It's nice and oiled. So it's actually moved around quite easily, even without me having to help it. So I'd go back in there and give it a mix. So pretty much all I'm going to do now is just shape my mince. I really love the little Tupperware, like little mince presser. I don't think we have one yet, do we, Deb, the Thermomix? I haven't got as into the meat stuff yet.
I'm not normally a plastic person. I wonder if there's a non-plastic version. I think I'd be quite interested in that.
You can use a glass, but yeah, it would be good if they had a little metal one. So it pretty much just shapes it. I just like it because you can make it nice and flat. It cooks a little bit evenly, the more evenly shaped it is. I like this one because you can pop these in the freezer. I don't heat things in plastic, but I don't mind storing things in the freezer. I don't usually have an issue with that. These you can store and then use for later.
Do you recommend doing that? Like they'll cook better if they've sat in the fridge for a while, or could you cook them straight away, no problem?
You can cook them straight away. They're usually just a little bit more watery. If they've had time to sit in the fridge or the freezer for a little while, they generally keep their shape a little bit better. But you can go straight from this. You could turn these into meatballs if you wanted instead. But yeah, I'd say that if you're in a hurry, you can go straight from this and then shape it and put it straight in. But if not, they're really good to do in advance and then either put in the fridge or put in the freezer so that you can have a quicker dinner another night. This would be a kilo would be a lot for us. That would be really big patties. So divided by 6, I think it said. So we would probably make it smaller and then have a bunch of leftovers because we love leftovers. Yeah, it says put in the fridge for 30 minutes, but you can just do it straight away. Throw them on the Barbie. Cool. So is yours ready to go, Deb?
Yeah, so I'm ready to go. I've just, because I no longer have a kettle, I thought below this, I'm trying to some of the energy consumption in the house. I am fortunate that I have 2 Thermomixes, so I always use my second Thermomix for a kettle function. So I've actually just run the boiling water over the noodles. Oh no, now my Thermomix is timed off. It's gone to sleep. There's literally finished. That's perfect timing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw in the cashews that I should have actually thrown in before. And I'm going to leave some, remember, to garnish. And I'm hoping I can turn that down a bit. Sorry, I haven't got the best setup here. My other setup died a while ago. And so literally look at the colour of that. I'm going to just pour it into our lovely thermoserver. So if you haven't got a thermoserver, it's something that I highly, highly suggest. You can never have too many. And those, like, there's quite a few of you who've nominated to have host rewards from this cook today. So I definitely would invest in another one of these for sure. And so that's there. Now, see how runny this is? It's a little bit, because obviously, depending on what vegetables you utilise, you might have a bit of water consumption coming from it. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is I normally like to put broccoli in mine, but I actually normally put it in the last 5 minutes of the rice cooking in the Baroma steamer basket, because I'm one of these fussy broccoli eaters that I like it to be like nice and vibrant and trees not kind of overcooked, which you can do. If you're more time efficient and you're able to remember to put it in the last 5 minutes, go ahead. I just find it easier to, while I'm cooking my rice, do it that way and take off 5 minutes. So I know that I've always got 5 minutes more to add on to my rice. Now, from here, what we're going to do is, because I think, oh, well, this could thicken up a bit. It doesn't need to, but if I wanted to, I've got a little bit of almond meal. If you've got some leftover cashews, if you don't have almond meal, you could then put a little bit of milled cashews in it. And you would do that at the front if you wanted to do that as an advanced step. So I just stick that in. And then I just garnish it, obviously, with coriander.
Could you move us down a little again, please?
Yeah,
just a tad. Yeah. There we go.
Right. Yeah. So I stick the coriander. I leave some to put on to plate as well, but I'm just giving you the idea that that's normally something I do at plating. And then I just put on the cashews that I've got left. And you'll probably notice I never use chili in my dish because we've got kids. So this is where we add our own chili, whether it's fresh or dry chili. If you're wanting a bit of spice or chili powder, you can certainly do that. But it does a whole serving. And you saw literally that was like 3 carrots, medium-sized carrots, a can of chickpeas, and 2 mushrooms and a little bit of onion and garlic, like things that you would have as staples in your home, and passata. And like you can easily get very affordable passata for that. So that is our no butter chicken, which I'm going to have later. And now we're going to say, no, I'm not going to resume that. I'm going to get on to making the noodles. And the noodles are really, really quick, okay, because you've already done your noodles in the thermosaver, and it's literally making the sauce to actually toss over the actual noodles. And why I like this particular recipe is you don't actually put the noodles in the bowl. It's like you make the whole sauce and you cook it, and then you stir it through the noodles in a separate bowl, so you're not crushing rice noodles, because, you know, if you've got rice noodles, you could probably chop them up a little bit if you actually put them in the bowl. So I'm just going back to start cooking. So we've done the beef, and then we've done the rice noodles. So now we're putting in our onion and our ginger into here. And it's asking for vegetable oil. Like I said, I don't like Beck, I use olive oil. So I'm just whacking in some olive oil. And then we're going to add the reserved meat. Smells good. Insert measuring cup, and that cooks for 5 minutes. Now, personally, I don't know if anyone's like me. When it says to add the measuring cup on Varoma, I personally like to leave the measuring cup off. I don't want it to sweat. So I actually will just put that on. And then we get a steamer basket, which got one here. So that's cooking that. And then we've got to just get our garnishes all ready to go. Sounds like someone's... Right, and who has an oval thermoserver? I love my oval thermoserver. I think for noodles and for presentation, I do like the shape of it. It would be really nice if they start bringing out rectangle ones or different coloured ones as well. Make them a little bit fun. What's everyone's favourite? Has everyone got lots of thermoservers or one thermoserver? I really love the white one as a bit of a difference as well. So, now Can you just serve on a bowl for me, just so they can see a bit of the rice and yeah. Okay, Beck.
Yes, sorry.
That's all right.
I'm just getting my burgers ready.
I know, like Raven's having a little bit of a at the moment, so.
No, that's all right. What I can do, are you ready for me to shape my pizza dough? So this is sorry, I kind of held it up before, but this is the Big Mac sauce. So as I say, you could put a little bit of paprika in there to make it a little bit more of that kind of tomato-y, capsicum-y flavour, which is really nice. Sure. This is pretty typical. Normally my kids try to steal my food while I'm cooking it. That's good. We're going to make some pizza dough. So I need my nuts.
We're gonna make, what are we gonna make?
Pizza dough. So this is my favourite thing on the planet. It's probably the best thing that Thermomix has ever come out with, the Thermomat. Particularly, as I said before, when I'm trying to make a nice circle, I don't know if you can see it on that, it's got a nice little circle on there. So you can kind of guide how big your pizza tray is and kind of make it the same size, or you can just go completely off and just do whatever you want. Just gonna check my cutting. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. Usually you don't make burgers while you're trying to make pizza. It's usually one or the other, not both. So we've got our dough, which has risen a little bit. During the hotter months, you'll get that rising up a lot more. Try not to knock the sandwich off the edge. Yeah.
Can I have two?
Yeah. So this will generally make two pizzas. I have a helper, whether I like it or not. So normally this will make two pizzas, but we generally make them a little bit smaller, especially since we use more of a traditional pizza oven and we actually have to launch the pizza in. I find that if it's big, it's generally a disaster. So we pop a little bit of flour down. But the dough is not really sticky. It's a really nice consistency. Just put my foot. So on my foot. My child's trying to kill me. Can I do this? You can do one in a minute. Okay. So pretty much to show you, it's ridiculously easy. It's such a beautiful, nice dough. It's nice and warm in here because we've got the heater on. If it's a bit cold, it tends to be a little bit harder to roll. But I find it's just, I don't know, it's so beautiful to work with.
Mummy,
Yeah.
can we make pizza squad and Vegemite squads?
We can later. Yeah.
So what are we gonna do with that?
Cook it. We'll cook it for Daddy for later. We've already had pizza for dinner, so this is kind of an extra. So I find that it reheats really well, so you can cook it. You can also, if you're a little bit, if you're don't have a lot of time, and you don't feel like you can do this after a work day, one of the options is you can par bake. Stop. Off you go. Off you go. You can par bake your pizza bases, and you can get them out of the fridge or the freezer and continue making them and cooking them. So that's an option. So if you don't feel like you have time, you can also put the dough in the fridge. You just need to get the dough back to room temperature before you start working with it. I'm going to give my 5-year-old some dough so she can play with it. You can. There you go. Like,
Finish that step. So I'm just going to basically telling me to stir. So give it a stir. And then you're adding, where have I put it? Have I already added the sauce? I probably added it all in at the one time, but that doesn't matter. But if you had left some sauce, you would put it in. I've actually added at the beginning this tamari and the oyster. I don't put the salt because I think it would be salty enough, and if we need it, we'll add it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add some shallots to, spring onions, depending on where you're from, which state. And we're going to put in some bean shoots. They're just washed. We absolutely love bean shoots. I'm going to leave some of the bean shoots out because I always love fresh ones, cooked ones as well. And there's a little bit of coriander and chives that I've actually put in there as well. So that's going to cook for another 5 minutes, and all we do is we put it on our heated noodles and toss it through, and then you can garnish with some extra goodies. Normally, and I'm unfortunately out at the moment, I love fried garlic on all my Asian dishes. That's normally a staple garnish. If you're into fried shallots, you could put those on there. If you're wanting to add or bulk it up, you could have thinly sliced or julienne some vegetables in there, peas, but it makes for a really quick meal and an affordable takeout, that's for sure. Takeout.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. So I'll finish the pizza. Because we're putting this in a pizza oven and it cooks really, really hot, really, really fast. The pizza dough bubbles if you don't put some holes in it. So on the mix shop, there's a cool little tool called a dough docker. So it helps just to punch some holes all the way through the dough. That's why a lot of the commercially made pizza bases, pre-made pizza bases come like this for your convenience. Because we're launching it, normally we'd pop this up onto a tray, so you won't want to decorate it here. Otherwise it's really hard to move, so you need to put it wherever you're working. So for us, we're going to use a paddle, like a launcher. So I pop semolina on it so that it slides right off. And you pretty much just need to dress it. So I've included a PDF with a bunch of recipes for the pizza, so including the different pizza doughs and pizza sauce. So this is our pizza sauce that we make. I tend to make the recipe twice just because it uses up all the ingredients that we have. Otherwise, we tend to have a bit of wastage. And it freezes really well. So we'll usually use like 1/2 of one of the recipe and then freeze the other 3. And that gives us 3 more pizza nights where all we have to do really is chop up some ingredients and make some dough. So we find that speeds up the process a little bit. And as I said, especially if you assign a family member a task, it makes something that could be really complicated really, really simple and really, really fast. So that's our pizza sauce. We put some cheese on the bottom. The cheese is like glue. Okay. We find that if you don't put the little bit of cheese on the bottom or something to hold it on, when you throw it in the pizza oven, you basically lose the topping, which isn't much fun getting off the pizza stone if you've ever had to do that. We generally have a nice big container or glass containers full of different ingredients ready to go. And the family generally just roll out their own dough with a little bit of help sometimes. And then they make their own pizza kind of to take the pressure off me, who's usually the main pizza maker. I'm the maker. My partner's the thrower. He throws the pizza in. So you can put whatever you like on there. Deb's butter chicken would actually make, or not butter chicken, actually makes a really nice pizza sauce for the bottom, if you want to do something like that.
I hear the Ovana pizza oven is coming back in stock later on this month.
We're about to go look at it. I've got it all up to temp, so it's
right. Like doing that, Beck.
Yeah.
I thought now is a really good time. I've actually done a little survey just for those that have attended today. So I'm going to pop it on the screen now. And if you could please complete that, that will really help us with our feedback. Has it popped up, Jess?
Yeah, it has. Well done. This is fun.
I'm getting a
Make that a bit darker.
Just trying to figure out how to press the buttons though. I can see the poll. I'm trying to answer, but I don't know. It's not clicking. Is anyone else? Because we're just practicing with polls. Is anyone else being able to press things? Or is that maybe because I'm a co-host, I'm not seeing the participant version?
Oh, can someone let us know if they're pressing it, or is anyone seeing it?
So 1 out of 10, it's telling me 1 of 10 has participated. So one person has replied, have you learned something new today? We've got 2 yeses. From what you have watched tonight, is there a dish you're keen to try? Pizza options, somebody has said, and Thai noodles. What else would you like to learn in your Thermomix? One person said budget friendly, and another person says meal prep so far. Now, if you can't find your poll, maybe swipe to the left or right on your device and your poll should come up. Let's have a look. Have you thought about becoming a consultant? 2 people have said not for me. Can you turn on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you rate this cooking event? 10 being you love it and 1 being it didn't meet your needs. 2 people have said 100%. So that must be 10, hopefully. 10 out of 10. And then we've got what would you like to learn more about? And 2 people have answered. I can't see those answers. So 3 people have answered so far.
Okay. Now, where am I? Why haven't I got a video? Oh, here we go. Okay, so my noodles are done. That was quick and easy. So literally it was 10 minutes cooked. That's the noodles. Now I'm going to put this down, and you could actually add a bit more sauce if you're wanting to. Like in some places, kai tao is what we call a wet kai tao, and other places are called a dry kai tao. So this to me would be more a dry type. So if you like a wet kai tao, you just literally double the sauce. And I've washed some bean shoots. I'll put those on top. I've left a little bit of coriander. Unfortunately, I don't have my fried garlic, which I like. I might drizzle a little bit of sesame oil or sauce on top because we love fish sauce here at our house. But literally, it's pretty much as good, if not better, I think, than if I went out for noodles. And for the price, definitely, we're a family of 6, and I've got like 3, middle school. Trying to get in the Barossa a takeaway. It's normally like $20 just for one small container, and that certainly wouldn't feed us, where this would definitely, with another dish, help us.
Looks delicious. Now, I'm not fancy with the kai tao and all that. Is that sort of like a pad thai in my language? No.
Of course, it is. So normally it still has, you can either have a seafood, chicken or beef kai tao. They sometimes call it fried char kai tao, depending on if they've fried it. What was that? Don't know. Something over there went off. But it's basically spelled KW. There is a recipe on Cookie Dough, but it didn't have many stars. But this one had lots of stars. And when I looked at it, I'm like going, this is exactly what kai tao is. So I don't know why there's a difference. there, but this,
Awesome. We've
like-
got eight people have responded now. Should I end the poll and then you can see the results on the screen?
it's really good that you do that, especially if someone's invited you. This is what helps qualify them for their host reward. So if you're watching back on a recording, we will attach the poll as an online form for you to complete upon watching the recording. So that will allow the person who's invited you to qualify for their host reward. And Jess, can you please let us know more about what's on offer for this month?
I certainly can. We have some amazing host rewards, and at the moment we're just about to launch a really new learning opportunity, which is all about the modes on our TM6. And we've got it called the new modes demo. Now the consultants are busy practicing and getting used to the new demo format, and we can't wait to show you guys so you can learn more about the modes. And the host reward is a special digital modes cookbook with lots of tips and hints, as well as a few specialty recipes in there. It's a 150-page digital book you can get as a limited time only host reward, and you can also get a blade cover peeler with that combo. I'll grab the picture. I got all the other pictures and PDFs ready, Deb, but I forgot to get that picture ready, so I'll get that now and share that.
Doing that. So obviously I've just dressed it with a little bit of fish sauce and tamari on top, and I just wanted to show our plated not so butter chicken recipe, and we've already cooked the rice. And that's one thing, if you haven't got a thermoserver, you know, that rice was cooked well in advance, and it's kept it nice piping hot, ready to serve.
That looks beautiful. And we might jump over to see Beck next while I'm still finding the picture, and we're going to have a look at the pizza oven. But thank you, Deb, that looks absolutely delicious and would have saved you a bundle. Oh my goodness, look at you.
So we're going to throw this in the oven. We'll show you the burger first because the burger finished. That's how quick it is. I don't know, what can you see? Can you see that? That's our little burger. So obviously you make the bun bigger and you get a bigger burger, but that's probably just a little bit bigger than a slider.
Cute. Very, very cute. And
it is very cute.
We love making the brioche buns too, actually, and we freeze them, and my daughter takes them to school as her sometimes as a sandwich.
It's so easy. So we'll show you. So this is something Thermomix also sells, but as Jess said before, it's out of stock at the moment. But it's the Ivana oven.
Coming back, Beck. I said it's coming back this month. Yeah, it's good so timing.
Cool. I know, it's super hot. So this can cook a pizza in about a minute or so. With the I always put a few toppings on there, so it's going to take a little bit longer. And because it's been sitting on the paddle for a bit, I have to push it off with the little peel. But generally, if you make it and throw it in straight away, you can usually just like push it straight in and go straight in. But I don't trust it. So literally you just load up the paddle again, make sure there's semolina on it, and then you can start building another pizza. This one, it's probably the closest thing to a wood oven pizza without being a wood oven pizza. It's got a nice stone. I don't know if Maddie will show you over here the temp. So at the moment it's 450 degrees in there, so it's super hot. It's got a nice crazy flame. If you're not careful, you burn your pizzas and your kids get really angry with you. We've watched quite a lot of videos on how to make the perfect pizza. You probably can get one of those little smoking boxes from Bunnings and pop right in the back to get a bit of that kind of wood oven taste. But I find you don't really need it. The pizza stone gives it a really nice flavour.
That flame looks intense.
Yeah, it's pretty high. I actually turned it down.
Yeah, I turned mine down.
It's not on high. You can go higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really hot. And the awesome thing is it doesn't generate heat under it.
Yeah.
Like, So you can put it on anything. We've got it on an old barbecue, but you can put it on a folding plastic bench. You know, if you're out camping, you can take it camping with you and be the most popular camper at the caravan park.
I'm thinking of doing that. We have somewhere a camp thing booked, and I'm thinking, oh, I could take my pizza oven.
Yeah, you'll be the envy of the entire camp. I just love that you can literally take this and your Thermomix with you anywhere that you go, and you can make the whole lot while you're out. You just need a sturdy bench to roll stuff out. Oh, I set fire to something. I'm not sure. So putting semolina in there, you generally will find a lot of it will catch fire. It's completely fine. My 5-year-old's ready for bed. Yeah, pretty much. Burning. Yeah, I'm burning it. So that's pretty much your cue that you're done when it starts to burn. As I said, the less toppings you put on it, you put a little bit of topping on it, it's probably a bit better. Even though it is burning around the edges, I've just got to be careful, but the cheese hasn't melted yet. So just going to leave it in there for a sec and just be really careful. So we'll get it out in a sec. But Deb, do you have anything else to add?
Only that, Jess, did you have pop up all the information on how people can contact or follow us on socials at all?
No. Would you like me to pop your link trees up?
The details in of Beck's page and my page, that would be great. And I want to thank everyone for coming along tonight and supporting our class, and we hope that you actually learned something new or got inspired and are rethinking about takeaway versus fakeaway. And yeah, what about you, Beck?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I think we both really love sharing, making lives, like people's lives better. Like we find now, what you were saying before, I think Jess was saying, you go out for takeaway because it's quick and easy. And then you don't really enjoy it and you regret it. So it's one of those things, you know, this is really, really nice. You don't regret eating it. You can add whatever you want to it. The same with the burgers. They're not greasy. You can put whatever you want on there and make it how you like it. It's just so awesome how easy it is with the Thermomix. So we love sharing it. And if people want to know something else or they're really into something and they don't know how to do it in the Thermomix, we would really love to help you try to do that.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, especially creative cooking recipes, like, you know, people might not be adventuring much. It depends on their journey. Some people who have even had them for years may not be looking at adapting or converting recipes. So, you know, even particularly on that, if anyone would find helpful. I think seasonal produce, particularly at the moment where we're all trying to make a savings, might be a benefit. Another class that Beck and I have thought about coming up with is meal prepping, like doing things in advance to make life easier. Yeah, so that would probably be the class we're hoping to do this month. We just have to confirm when we're going to be getting ahead.
Actually, some people mentioned in the poll that they would like to learn about that, and they can keep an eye on your link trees to see when the events get popped up. I've noticed we can even subscribe, I think. I'm not sure if that's for everyone, but I've noticed it's popping up on mine that people can subscribe. So that means you'll see when one of these guys pops up a new event, and we'd love to see you at future ones.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I happen to kind of update, and I try and put the link in the little PDF that I do with the what's coming up in the fortnight or within the week, and you can click on some of those events if they're registered for there. But then we've also got other classes which you can find out on our pages as well, because we do have full team classes. So Jess, in response to that, what's coming up within the team?
Let me think. So we've just finished June, and we're having a micro break overnight on June 30th, and now it's July 1st. So we've got to get the July happening. And what we've got happening already is a hands-on lunchbox school holiday activity. It's Wednesday during the day, the 20th of July, and it's in Mount Barker. So if anyone's not near Mount Barker, you could consider a day out with the kids in the hills and then come along to see us. It's going to be fun, hands-on, it's casual. You'll be working in groups. The kids will be making and tasting. So then you can decide if your kids like the foods, then you can go home and recreate them as well. So it's a great activity. It's not just for kids. So if you're a single adult with no kids, you're welcome as well. And it's $20 a family. So if you've got 10 kids, that's a bargain. But it's $10 for individuals. So it's at the beautiful Cornerstone College, which has got a full kitchen with like 10 work benches. So we'll have lots of fun. I'd love to see you guys there for a day out in the hills. 2 till 4 we'll be together creating yummy things. But we've also just this weekend we'll be putting up new links for our branch, and that's including things like easy essentials we'll be putting on early in July for learning the basics in your Thermomix. And then we'll be doing a beautiful World Chocolate Day event on the 7th of July. That's Thursday night. That's just gone up on our links. I'll pop the link in the chat box. And some lovely new team leaders going to do that one. It's vegan chocolate theme, and it's going to be delicious. Can't wait. Unfortunately, I'm not presenting at that one. I'm jealous. But it's World Chocolate Day on Thursday. So look out for that event. Please register for that one. And then we'll be having another Walkerville in person. And the theme is pizza making again. So that'll be hands-on. So if you want to go to an in-person thing and you're in the city, the last Tuesday of the month, every month, the last Tuesday at 7:30 at Walkerville, we'll be getting together for fun, community and connection. Pizza theme there. So lots of things happening, and there's another virtual on the 19th that our branch manager is putting on. That's going to be the modes demo. So if you can't remember everything I've just been talking about, and I'm surprised I can actually remember all those dates off the top of my head, we will email you out. And also I'll pop the link in now, which hasn't been updated completely, but we're working on it for July and beyond. So yeah, I can't wait to see you at some of those things. Most of them are free except for that school holiday activity, which is a bargain, and we'd love to see you there. Thanks ladies for putting on this awesome event.
Joining us. Happy to go and eat my fakeaway now.
Yeah, enjoy. And you've got lots of food to eat too, Beck.
Yeah, everyone's full because they all had pizza before, so they're all like, no thank you.
You couldn't starve them till 9 p.m.
No, it would have been bad. They get hungry.
They would have got hungry. True. Awesome. Well, well done, ladies, putting on this great event for us to all learn from, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys another time. And the people watching back the recording can get in touch with Debbie and Beck, or your own consultant if you've got a different consultant, and learn some more. We love learning and sharing with you guys.
Okay, see you later all.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.